Why?
Because it needed to reboot. No, it's good.
Ryan didn't like it. I liked it.
Hang on. I know I've got a sound effect for that one.
The toilet.
No. There,
I don't know what that was.
What
was
was
an
that?
applause.
Applause.
Oh,
Oh.
I just had to tune quick.
What was the baby computer's first word?
Giga.
Data.
Nice.
Hey, everybody that came in a few minutes early. This we're just working through some jokes and some sound effects that we've added to the mix for tonight. If you have any good jokes, let me bring up, drop them in the chat, and we'll get started in a minute. What else you got there, Victoria? Those were.
What are computers' favorite snacks?
Chips.
Okay. Microchips and cookies, but only a few bites of each.
Mm.
I
Ryan,
don't
you
know
are
if
a
it's
tough
the joke I'm
audience.
laughing at or Victoria.
Brett, do you have one?
I'm not a joke teller. I'm not even gonna embarrass myself.
Meg?
That's half the fun.
Oh.
Well, you're doing good though.
Yeah, no, you do not want me telling jokes. It's not pretty. I told you guys my truth flies like an arrow joke. I'm the only one that ever.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
the only one that ever laughs.
What do you call a lizard that tells jokes? A stand-up chameleon.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
What do you call a mouse that swears?
Clickbait. I don't know.
A cursor.
Mouse?
Oh, a curse.
A what?
A cursor.
Oh,
I knew
my
a
God.
woman who set fire to all her outstanding bills. Her name was Bernadette. Come on. I like that one.
I like my computer ones better.
Well, then go back to those.
No, I don't want to. I kind of ran it. They're not as funny anymore. You know, like it's just the same topic. You just can't. You can't wear it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to diversify with my jokes over here.
Oh, do you know why I don't trust stairs? They're always up to something.
Oh, thank you. See, the chat likes Bernadette.
And the cursor joke.
Cursor joke, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's one my wife will be proud to hear about me.
I can only think of a joke that I told my daughter. What do you guys call a boomerang that doesn't come back?
A stick.
A stick.
Stick.
Ryan, what's a vegetable's favorite rock star?
What?
Bruce Stringbean.
Nice.
Oh, goodness.
What do we have here? Why won't you give Elsa a balloon? She will let it go. Oh, I like that.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, why can't a nose be 12 inches long?
Because then it would be a foot.
Oh.
That was good.
The dad would know dad jokes. Should have known better.
What do you call an alcoholic bodybuilder? Jacked Daniels.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
How about this? When does a sandwich cook?
Ooh. Meg.
When it's bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That's in the chat.
Yeah. What did the statue say to the other statue? Is that you? Oh, I like that. That one makes you think. Yeah.
How many computer programs does it take to change a light bulb, or computer programmers does it take to change a light bulb?
4.
None. That's a hardware problem.
Ooh, well, very nice. Yeah.
Burn.
Okay, if anybody else has one that can top that, which I do not,
I do not.
we will go ahead and get this kicked off. Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna just go through the housekeeping real quick. We are recording, and we have found that when the powers that be edit these on the FRSecure side before they go live, the jokes are included. So that's where each one of these is kicking off. So we do want for anybody that's attending these for the first time or you're hearing it again, we want this to be as open and collaborative as possible. So any questions you have, please, or questions, comments, experiences, anything you want to share, please drop in the chat, and so everybody can benefit from it. And the more collaborative we can be, I think the better experience we can have for all. What do we got? We're going to answer all those questions in real time as best we can. And if we have to, we'll save some towards the end just to give them more attention. I've got some links going to drop in the chat for everybody of upcoming events that you may want to check out. The ISACA monthly meeting, if you are in San Diego or this is available on Zoom as well, here's the link. That'll be April 18th. Is that right? Third Thursday. And what we're doing, if anybody wants to check it out, is there's 2 graduate students in cybersecurity that the chapters had the opportunity to sponsor and mentor for the past couple of years. So we've really been able to watch them learn, grow, and now we're going to chat about what their experience has been and really what their thoughts are about going out of school into this crazy industry that we all work in. So that is open to the public if anybody would like to check it out. I can't say that one yet. For those interested, it started tonight as well. The FRSecure CISSP mentor program. There's a link to it for you. I think it's like in its 14th year or so, but that is another free resource available to everybody. And if you are in town, and I would encourage anybody co-hosting or online, if you're not, and you want to come out, we have every quarter a cybersecurity social mixer. This is the link to it. We'll bring together people from all the different organizations, chapters throughout San Diego, and we meet at a brewery. And people drink beer and talk about different things with the industry, but you'll have OWASP people talking technical, ISACA, ISE squared, women in cybersecurity. Oh, hang on. I am on. Thank you.
It's to host and panelists.
I am only sharing them with hosts and panelists. See, that's why you guys don't want to give me too much power. Bad things happen. There you go. Sorry, and thank you for calling out on that. Why don't we, here, let me drop these links in here. The first 2 recordings of these sessions are available on YouTube. So those are the links for them. If you want to check those out. I would like to take a moment just to let each panelist say hi, who they are, and then we'll explain what secret word of the day is. So if I go from top, Brett, that would be you first, mister.
Hello, everybody. I am Brett Hammond. I do all things internal security at FRSecure, risk, device configurations, cloud configurations. I mostly live in the Microsoft portals. Love what I do and love everything that our company does. And I'm really excited to be part of this initiative to help people understand the basics of cybersecurity and go a little deeper as well.
And you're a unicorn.
Self-identified as a unicorn, yes.
That's how I found it, because I saw it on LinkedIn. I thought so, but that removed all that.
That's what Evan, have you not read on security yet?
I have.
That's what Evan calls the people you need in your company.
Mm-hmm.
The unicorns.
Dude, I'm not questioning it. I'm supporting it. I'm just saying I always suspected that, but then when I saw it on LinkedIn, it removed all doubt. I love you, brother. All good.
Do
Victoria.
we dare ask why he's a unicorn?
No, Brett, Meg has a question.
Yeah, I think John Harmon was like, yeah, you're kind of like a unicorn because of that. And I just rolled with it.
Nice.
That's very nice. So it really wasn't self-anointed.
Well, the full self-anointing, yeah. All right, move on for me.
Fair enough. Victoria.
Hello. I'm Victoria Fogarty. I am currently security vulnerability analyst. Work mainly with Nessus and scanning and vulnerabilities and breaking those down and helping people understand what is in their network so they can take care of it. I've been with the company for over 5.5 years. And yeah, I just want to be part of the initiative like Brett and everyone else here and help wherever I can.
Awesome. Awesome. Love having you here and totally appreciate it. Ryan.
Yep. So I'm with FRSecure as well. I'm an information security consultant, primarily do vCISO stuff. I think that's pretty much all I do, or special projects. I guess I'm a unicorn too. So like you said, Evan called everyone here unicorns. I guess I've been a unicorn for about 7 years and happy to be helping out and doing whatever I can to help people stay more secure.
Awesome. Awesome. And I am Dave. I am an information security consultant at FRSecure as well. Work very closely with Ryan now. We're on the same pod, so we're starting to support common clients and getting a chance to learn from him as well. And at the same time, have the opportunity to serve as president for the ISACA San Diego chapter. Super excited to be here. I know we've been able to cover a lot of good stuff and appreciate just having the opportunity to be with everybody and help share as much information forward as we can. Meg.
Hey everyone, Meg Perrin. I am the only one that works for Security Studio, the sister company to FRSecure. Spent a lot of years in public education, decided in my late 50s to make a career change, and voila, here I am. Love my job. And as you can tell, based on what people said, whether you're working for FRSecure or Security Studio, common theme is we love our work. And that's one of the reasons we're here, is to help you. So I think what's beautiful about both of our companies is we are very much service oriented, and we really strive to fix this industry one person at a time and one webinar at a time. So here we are. We're going to do S2Me today with what, third session?
Third session.
3 or 4?
Hey, do you want to chat on the promo thing real quick?
Yeah, so remember, we do have the promo code, which is S2Me. If you go to the website, academy.securitystudio.com, and you have interest in taking our CV or participating in our CVCISO program, which not only includes the course, but it includes the community as well. Please use that discount code. You'd get $1,000 off the course. And the only thing I want to say about it, because we have talked about it each time, is that common theme from people that attend our program is they come for the content, but they stay for the community. We are having a local event in Minnesota in May, which I'm super excited about. Already have over 40 CVCSOs joining together to collaborate, get a little bit of learning in, some networking, and have some fun together. And with that, we can get started.
Yeah, and oh no, we have to talk about secret word of the day, and then we'll. But Meg, what's the best way if somebody's interested, just for maybe more information about the program or the event that you've got coming up?
Let me put my email in the chat.
Cool.
And that's the best way to reach me.
Beautiful.
So if you have any questions about the program, specific to the content, the community, whatever it is, Security Studio, just shoot me an email and I will help you.
There we go. Just saw it. Okay, cool. So last thing before we dive in is, if anybody is familiar with our good friend Pee Wee Herman, I've got the video. I'm going to drop the link to this video in the chat, but I'm not going to make you watch it. But what Pee Wee would do, there's a 1-minute video that'll explain how the game works. And every co-host here has picked a secret word. And when that word is mentioned, either by one of us or somebody in the chat, we're going to go crazy. I've got a cowbell. Victoria, you're representing a ukulele. Remains unseen at the moment.
Yes, I have it. We don't need to hear it right now.
Okay, Ryan's got what are you sporting?
Just for ease, because I have nothing else that can make enough noise, I also have a ukulele. Not to copy Victoria, but
okay,
mine's in tune though.
Oh,
It's complimenting. It's not copying. Complimenting.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, even better if only one is in tune. We've got that going for us. Brett, I think you had some of your children's toys.
Got kids' toys.
Okay. And Meg?
I have an app-inspired gong.
Oh, even better. Can we hear what it sounds like?
Oh, sure. You hear that?
No. We ran into this earlier. That's why I wanted to
Your
mention.
noise suppression is on point.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'll scream or something.
If you go into mute and then under audio settings and pick the medium setting, Zoom evidently has a quality control that prevents
Gotcha.
things
Rightfully so.
like what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive in. I am going to go back here. Well, that's the link to Pee Wee Herman's TV show. So today we're on session 3. We're going to work through securing Wi-Fi and securing the Wi-Fi and network router. So let's go in, and Meg, if you would take the honors of kicking us off, and there we go.
All right, so just like the other 2 sections, our first section here, if you can't answer yes to the very first question, then you can skip that section because there's really no point in continuing on. So the first question for section 3 is, do you maintain your own wireless network, commonly known as Wi-Fi?
So we're going to go ahead and say yes. So it's not just a 1 question section.
Mm-hmm.
And when we open it up, look at that. It opens up all these other things that we want to take into consideration. And we want to take those into consideration because of the risk that it shows there. You want to read that real quick?
Yep. An improperly secured Wi-Fi network can lead to a violation of your privacy, a compromise of your information, and the potential use of your network by cyber criminals to attack other victims. So that's the importance of maintaining your own Wi-Fi.
So Brett, have you changed the default password on all your home network equipment?
I have, excuse me, I have changed the default password. I noticed that they are sending them out with a little more secure passwords nowadays, rather than just password or Netgear, whatever that might be. I know on my TP link, it came with a random string of 10 numbers. So not too bad of a starting point, but I did get in there and strengthen it quite a bit.
Just to give everybody an idea of what a stronger password is, what did you change it to?
Oh, Dave Tuckman.
That doesn't sound secure at all. But that was a good answer.
Nice try.
Okay.
Good try.
So yeah. So oops, I think I need to hit false.
Yep. And we have talked about that in previous sessions, right, Dave?
Yes.
Just the importance of passwords and how to make a secure what are the characteristics of a secure one?
Yeah, and actually, if you can steer this and go through the next couple of questions, I can pull up. I found a neat little password generator I can share with everybody, but I'm
nice.
just capable of doing more than one thing at a time. So if I can.
Okay, so the risk involved, Dave, if you could scroll up just a little bit so I can see. Okay, so if you haven't changed the default password, so when you get a router, it comes with a default password, but they will give you directions on how to change the password. And so you just want to make sure that you follow those directions in order to change your network equipment passwords at home. That's important to do. So 5.3 is all of my wireless network equipment is provided by reputable suppliers, and I have validated this through my own research. How about Ryan?
Well, yeah, I will say yes. I have laptops. So I have no like wireless printers, and I don't connect any IoT stuff to it. I have a few different laptops that I've done different things to add different operating systems on, mess around. So they're all like Dells and Apples and things like that for anything that's connected to it. I do have a couple different phones too that I test stuff out on or play with, more than likely, that will be different versions of Android, Linux. I'm comfortable with that, and it's all on a separate SSID or segmented wireless than work stuff and my other personal stuff. So while there could be an argument that some of my suppliers are different operating systems might not be the most reputable place, I am taking means to segment things and keep the other stuff safe.
How do you know if network equipment how do you know if it's a reputable supplier?
Kind of research. You can do TP-Link. I think, was it Synology makes a decent one. I have an older one that I've flashed and put a pfSense firewall, kind of flashed that onto it to mess around with things. If you usually buy this from the store and buy new ones, you're going to be fine. If you buy it from a used place on Marketplace or something like that, I would probably flash to the latest BIOS. I would even do that.
Big box stores, Amazon. I'm seeing on Amazon, there's a $20 Wi-Fi router made by Dbit. probably not too reputable.
Yeah, and Michael had a really good question in the comment there of about doing your own research. Honestly, I don't have a list to recommend. What I would encourage people to do is I always follow a model that you fall into one of three buckets. One is you do it yourself and you kind of level up the best way that you can. And if you're that type of person who likes to learn stuff and grow that way, by all means, doing it by yourself, take that as far as you can. The second bucket is continue to do stuff by yourself, but ask questions. Try and find those folks around you that have the answers, that are can be more knowledgeable, that and can help you continue to help yourself as best as possible. I think anybody on the panel here, you can feel free to ask questions to. It's the same spirit and wanting to help you there as much as wanting to do this webinar series. And then the third group is consider hiring a professional. It isn't really what we do, but there are people out there that do it. And if you can find somebody reputable, even by asking those that know more, that should help move you in the right direction.
So Dave, are the units that are provided by like your spectrums and all that, are those considered reputable?
I believe that they're reputable because a service provider wants your service to work. They want to give you the tools, so let's keep those support calls down to a minimum as best as possible. So I think you're good in that regard. So whether it's Spectrum or Cox, you can even call them, find out what they provide, see if they have any recommendations. The biggest thing is what Brett was touching on earlier is customize the password, customize things like that so you know them. It can be a reputable product, but then that's how we make it a little bit more yours versus just still being straight off the shelf.
Yeah. All right, good.
I think one more thing I'd add to that too. I think Brett hit it pretty well. Like going on Amazon and found one for $20. Use common sense. You know, if every other place is selling you a router, wireless router, wireless access point, whatever, for 80 to 100 to 120 bucks, and you find one for $10 or $15, that's probably a red flag.
Mm.
Yeah. And Michael's got some other good points there of, try to not buy used stuff. And not only making sure it's a reputable product, but making sure it's a reputable vendor. It gets a lot more iffy if it's on eBay. And for anybody that's not familiar with AliExpress, it's essentially I don't know, was it kind of the Chinese version of Amazon and eBay all wrapped up into one? But it's where you can buy off-brand stuff, and don't do that.
And I think I do want to add, I think the shortest path to answering true for that is to just rent the modem router combo from your Xfinity or Spectrum, whatever it is. You're just paying them, right?
Yeah.
I prefer to just purchase something and never have a monthly cost the rest of my life.
Yeah, and one other thing on this is, don't just think how we're protecting our wireless networks. Think how your parents have theirs set up, and other people that you may know that are even less tech savvy, that we can turn around, help, and play it forward with. Meg, if you want to go on to the next one, I'll dive into the password thing. I did find it after
Yep.
that.
Do you want to expose the risk on 5.3
Yeah,
or are we
yes, I
not
do.
doing that part?
So that's why you got to keep me on a short leash.
No problem.
Yeah.
So this is consistent with what we just heard Brett say is lowest price vendors aren't always your best option. Buying your equipment from your service provider is a good alternative. All right, 5.4, I check my home network equipment for security updates regularly, no less than once per month. Victoria, we're up to you.
Well, if I didn't pay the big bucks, Spectrum, to take care of it for me, I'm going to say probably not, because I
Oh.
don't have the time.
Oh, snap. What is that?
So, how do you check your home network equipment for updates? I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how would you? So it'd have to be something other than the service provider, right? Like if you were doing a different type of home network, it'd have to be a little more complicated.
The manufacturer's websites will usually tell you what firmware version you're on
Hmm.
or is the latest. Then you'd have to be able to get into your network device, figure out what firmware version you're on, and see if it's the latest, and if not, flash it.
Hmm. Okay.
It can be
Is that-
cumbersome. It can be, which is to me
Oh.
another argument to let the providers do it for you. I mean, like Brett, I'm with Brett. I don't want to pay the monthly fee, so I can. But if you're not that experienced, it can be a little bit cumbersome to do that. And I've bricked different things before by trying to flash the wrong thing. Sometimes I was down the wrong path, did the wrong thing, and destroyed my router.
Hmm.
Anything that comes with an app, sign up for whatever service is connected to the app. I use TP-Link. It uses an app called Tether. I mean, I get alerts every single time somebody connects to the network, anytime there's irregularities or when there's an update available. And as far as, getting in there, you can do that. What you do is you connect to the admin portal by going to your gateway. So if it was 192.168.0.1, that's going to get you to the login of your router where you can update it. Now in the app, when they have that connection, it bypasses the need for that technical know-how to get in there, and it's just going to have an update firmware option that should present you with, and that includes Xfinity. I know that they have that in their app as well.
Yeah, and if all of that, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, if all
Go
of
ahead.
that sounds like a foreign language to somebody, then you're at that point that if you're interested in it, cool, keep trying to learn, know the make and the model number of what you've got so you can look it up. And if it all sounds really foreign to you, then you're kind of asking, who can you ask questions, or do you want to bring someone in to help out and just know that it's getting done? And then they can, at the same time, they can help teach it to you. Cool. Here, let me bring this up before. This is, and I'll drop the link in the chat, but this was a password generator I ran into, I don't know, a weekish ago or so. But you can pick how many characters you want it to be. Do we want capital letters, numbers, symbols? And it'll show you how strong it is. So, and you just drag it over, it'll tell you, and then you can just copy it from there.
Mm.
Easy enough for a Dave to use.
Hey, Dave, if you
Nice.
click on memorable there, does it just turn into a passphrase?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you prefer one that starts with mortuary, there's other options down here.
Can't even spell mortuary.
But it's a neat little tool, and it's you can use the tool without logging in or anything like that. Okay,
Nice.
the end of that.
Okay, so 5.5. I configured my wireless networking settings to use the strongest encryption available. Brett.
That was the word.
Woo. Nobody can hear my gong anyway.
So we don't want to say what the word was. Yeah, I was just looking at this before we started the meeting, and my TP-Link has a couple different options. There's WPA3 is the most secure version of encryption for Wi-Fi now. It came out in 2018. The kicker is it's not necessarily on the network interface cards for all devices. So it's not necessarily compatible. I have two separate SSIDs set up so that I can send that out as well. But WPA2, I think right now is the kind of way to go. And I did go and check that that was configured properly. But for argument's sake, let's say false.
Fair enough.
And Victoria, have you ever heard of WEP?
Is that what we call WEP?
That is called WEP. Super
Yeah.
insecure Wi-Fi encryption. It's been getting broken for many, many years now. So if you get into your configuration and see you are distributing WEP, please turn that off and switch it to at least WPA if it doesn't have WPA2.
Yes, if you see WEP or that person that you ask questions or you hired recommends it, take a step back. It's just, it's WEP. If you look up WEP encryption on the internet, you will see when it got deprecated and why we should stay away from it.
Yeah, I think WEP was deprecated like back in 2006 or 2007 something. It could take just like a minute to crack into or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely like, to me, it's like either like there was BC and AD, but to me, there's like before pandemic and post pandemic. And that's definitely a pre-pandemic one. But then again, I just need things easy in my mind.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, 5.6, my SSID, service set identifier or network name, has been changed from the default and it does not give any indication of location or personal information. Ooh, that one might need some explanation. Ryan.
Yep, I mean, for me, yes. But ideally what the SSID is, like it says the identifier, so it says what the wireless network is. I have my neighbors will put like their names, their last names and stuff, and I know exactly where they are. I have a couple neighbors who will put their house address in there. You're just giving me, and it's publicly displayed, so I can go on my phone, my laptop, anything, and know exactly whose wireless it is. If I know whose wireless it is, I can, maybe they have dogs, I will try the dog's name. I can get on pretty easily most of the time. My wireless connections are called wireless, like wireless 1, wireless 2. No identifier, no indication of who it is or where the wireless is coming from. But it's a good thing to change that, just to kind of hold back some information. It's just one more thing for an attacker to get, that they have to fight for or make it a little bit more difficult for them to crack into your wireless.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I have the same thing with some neighbors here where when you pull up networks that are visible, it's like it's so obvious who it is. Like it has their last name in it. So you know exactly what house it belongs to.
Yeah. And a lot of those, go ahead, sorry.
No.
Oh, I know a lot of my neighbors will do it and they'll have their ISP do it for them and configure it for them. and the ISP will just have it preset, so they know the last name. They'll like put it in, and then a like 5 or 6 digit number or something like that. They can go request that to be changed. You just have to ask them to do that. But I think a lot of ISPs just do it by default.
And you said something else earlier, Dad. I just wanted to circle back on where there's more than one SID on your network because each one's treated as like its own network. So, and I do the same thing here. I've got the one that the family and the one that I use, you know, like for work and everything. So, Ryan, if I named one of my wireless networks Justice League Wi-Fi, do you think that's enough of a deterrent for somebody to not be interested in it?
No, but it might, just because I'm biased because I know you. I would probably attack, and I would guess the password would be like Superman or Batman 1 2 3. You know, you'd give me information of what the password probably is.
I didn't, because I use that password generator.
Oh.
But
I'm glad you said that though, Dave, because I choose my SSIDs based on names that I don't think people would want to mess with. My at home, it's NSA Black Site 2. Who wants to go into an NSA SSID?
There you go.
I don't.
That's smart. Never thought of that.
What's yours?
Or go ahead, hack me.
Yeah.
I dare you.
I dare you.
And then leave one open with
I'm
no
watching
security
you.
on it.
Yeah. I'll just make a honeypot out of it.
That's gonna say that's what you call a honeypot.
All right. And what are the risks involved if we don't do that?
They know who to attack. It's easy to get information from.
Oh, okay. Dave, I wasn't sure if you wanted to expose that or not. False?
Yep. That's what false.
Earth to Dave. There you go. Thank you.
See, Meg, you know me.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You can see it tails off with albeit slightly.
What's that?
The risk is it's a slight
Yeah.
increase.
If you do use long passwords like Dave did, the long randomized password, you can say, I have a TP link, this model, everything. And if you have a 25, 30 character WPA2 password, good luck.
Yeah, right. All right, 5.7, connections to my wireless network is secured with a strong password or MFA, and the password is not the default. Victoria?
Well, that's true, but that's just because, you know, passwords is what I live for, making passphrases and whatnot, but we're going to say false for this context. Yeah, so using the default ones, obviously, there's a whole list of things out there that tell you common passwords, and it could get sprayed pretty easily, cracked pretty easily, because there's not a lot of complexity to that.
Yeah.
Or the weak one as well, right? The shorter and the more common, the more quicker it's going to take to crack. So,
is there any danger in using password generators? And I don't mean like that you could be infecting your computer because you're using the password generator. I mean that people can start tracking the passwords that are generated from a password generator, right? Is there any research done on that?
That's why we prefer passphrases over random characters, because it's a lot harder to guess a bunch of words jumbled together, mixing in other languages if possible. For sure, pointing at this 5.7, please have a password on your Wi-Fi, even if it's 8 lowercase b's, because I've done that before, just to make it easier to hand out long time ago. But it's
when you were still using web.
When I was still using web. Well, it didn't even matter if you don't have a password.
Yeah, Meg, I think you touch on something really good there. The one that I was sharing, and while I was, oh, and I never dropped the link in there. Shame on me. Here we go. Let me do that. This one came from Proton, which is a service that provides email, some other things, but they're very focused on privacy and security. But if you were to go, it's possible that if you were to use one that was less credible or something, the possibility does exist that they could capture some information off your device, know what that password is, but doesn't necessarily mean that they know you're using that password for your email or the router or what, but there is the possibility of capturing something like that. There's the link for
I could see it. It'd have to be a very targeted, specific attack. If you use a password generator, you'd have to correlate your IP address, which means you probably have to own the ISP, get back to trace that it was you when you did it, put it together, know that you're the one doing it, then use that and start splashing that password in all your accounts. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, but man, I think it'd be pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's NSA type stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Ryan or Dave, have you seen anybody using multi-factor for their Wi-Fi passwords?
I've not.
I have not. Because usually you're plugging like right into it to configure it initially, but good point.
I can see the benefit of it, but like where I live, there's a few houses around me. I'm not overly worried that someone's going to get onto my wireless, and the strong password, the long password kind of helps me deal with the risk management so I don't have MFA on it. I could see the benefit though. I lived in like a 100 apartment building and I knew there were a lot of NSA people around there. I'd probably use multi-factor.
Yeah.
The next one, Dave, I think we've kind of covered. Wireless network passwords have been changed within the past 12 months. I feel like wasn't that even asked in an earlier question?
Not after we have set a secure password. So I think this is implying after you have your first original secure password set, are you changing that?
Okay.
And this
When's
is
the last
kind
time
of
you
like,
changed yours, Meg?
Clearly longer than 12 months ago. No, it has been a while. However, we did just switch internet service. So I guess I get a break on this one because it was changed just because we switched. I had to change it because we switched.
That qualifies. Victoria, were you going to say something?
oh, I was just going to say this kind of piggybacks just on good practices across, because we've talked about it in other sections so far, right? About changing those passwords 90 days, 1 year, whatever is doable. But yeah, just saying, it's just basic practice.
Yeah, well.
And I'm sure that's what it's going to say in terms of what the risks are if you don't.
Yeah.
Just increases your liability, really.
Your risk, you know.
Especially
All right.
I was going to add one thing. There's a lot of people who hand out their wireless password. Guests come over, family come over, things like that, and their phones will be set to remember that. So as soon as they come back in, it just automatically connects right up. And who knows if those people are writing it down, sharing it. If you change the password, it's a little bit more effort to get people on. But
I kick their devices off after they leave.
Nice.
At least I do.
So that's what I like about the Apple ecosystem. When people come over, and they try to connect it, I can just share the password, and it doesn't actually submit anything. It doesn't save anything. It just gives them access.
Yeah.
But they don't actually see the password.
They're automatically prompted, right?
Yeah.
Apple phones.
Yeah.
So that leads right to the next question, Ryan, I have created a separate wireless network for guests and visitors, so I don't share my secure wireless password with them.
I can say true for me, but let's put false to see what the risk is.
Yeah, I'm not buying what you're selling.
So increases your chances of getting attacked.
Yep. And all you're doing there is by having the different guest wireless and your normal wireless, one, you're keeping that little barrier up between your protected assets and other people's. You have no idea if they bring their laptop over, if they're full of viruses, full of ransomware, who knows what's going on with that. And then at the same time, you're not handing that protected password out to a lot of people. Like you can set it up, put it on 2 or 3 devices, one if you want, and everyone else gets their guest password. And I know my ISP here where I live, they would do this for me. I didn't go that way. I got my own, so I did it. But that was one of the services they're offering. They're like, if you put our wireless router in, we can set up as many wireless networks as you ask for.
Mhm.
And Michael makes a good point in the chat that guest wireless has client isolation usually. So people can't connect to other devices even on that same network if it's configured that way.
Oh, on the same subnet.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the
We
next
are.
section?
Yeah.
So there's your securing Wi-Fi. Now we're going to talk about securing the Wi-Fi network router, so the internet box. And again, if you can answer no to this first question, you move on, but assuming that we're all have internet access, then we've got to go ahead and say yes, because you need a router in order to connect.
Look at that.
And there we go. There's our questions.
Yeah. Look at all that.
They do recommend, it has been recommended. So I had asked earlier about using the router that's provided by your service provider. I have heard recommendations that it's best to have your own router. Can anybody talk to that? Like, why is it better to have your own personal router versus the one provided by a service provider? Because that's the risk here. It says owning and managing your own Wi-Fi network router has lots of benefits and requires some basic knowledge and a few actions to protect it from criminals.
You want to touch that one, Ryan?
I'm gonna let Brett do that one.
But I think the assumption here is that, right, like they're dividing it here, aren't they? Having Comcast or managing it yourself.
That is owned and managed by me, not provided by or managed by my internet provider.
So I don't think there's any risk here for going through your internet provider.
Correct. But then they're saying that we do manage it.
Yes.
You manage it yourself,
Yeah.
not by your internet provider.
And one of the advantages is we just get so much more control and customization when you own a device. When you are renting it from your internet provider, they're controlling everything. They allow you to see certain things and keep certain settings from you because they want it to be simple and they want it to be secured, at least by their default, and not have the user going in and making it less secure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a chance that if ISP gets breached and there's people in there, they could have your information as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't change the provided password to that router and they get compromised, I would imagine there's a list of all those passwords somewhere or something.
Yep. And when you're using an ISP, sometimes you can't even change the default information.
Yeah, and was it Michael saying? In the comments. If you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with this stuff, it's better to do your own. If you're in a spot where you're really going to need that additional layer of assistance or support, consider the ISP.
You can put priorities on devices. So I have a high priority for my PlayStation. So no matter what, that guy gets all the megabits.
Is that your PlayStation, Brett?
That is my
Or a child?
PlayStation. That's mine.
Yeah.
But like Michael said too, you have to have some technical experience. If not, if you don't,
Yeah.
and you go in not knowing what you're doing, you can cause a lot of headaches for yourself.
Yeah.
And just
It's like-
break it.
Yeah, it's like trying to fix your own car.
Yeah. You said that earlier, right, Ryan? You broke a router
Oh yeah, I've bricked a lot
Back-
a lot of times.
back when? Yeah. Okay, 6.2. I know how to set up and configure the settings on my Wi-Fi network router. And where are we at? Victoria? I think that's you.
False. What does it tell us? It's not a plug and play? Oh no.
Plug and play, it's plug and pray.
Most of them are
How it's
plug and
working.
play, right?
Well, no. It's a joke internally just because a lot of softwares and applications and stuff appear like all I have to do is get it on, get it downloaded or whatever, and I'm done. But a lot of tools out there actually need to be manipulated with like specific settings and things like that to make sure to keep out any busy stuff and make sure that it does what you want it to. So that's actually a misunderstanding that actually not many things are plug and play anymore. But yeah, so if we don't know how to, or if we're not configuring the settings to do what we need to and do it in a safe manner, you have that more risk of your neighbors getting on the internet, it says, and slower internet speeds and people lurking at your network. And if you live in the burbs, I don't know how many cyber criminals are really coming after you unless they want to use you as a jumping point to get to their actual target. But the freeloading neighbors one, I can definitely see as being enough of a nuisance, right? That you want to kind of steer away from that. So
And if you're wondering why your internet is way slower than it should be, see what devices are connected. You might have
Correct.
some leeches.
Yeah.
correct.
And that
I
kind of goes
remember
back to
back-
the changing the SSID, just to touch on it really quick, the SSID and the default password, right? Because if it's the default SSID is Netgear whatever, and it's an older one, and the default password is password, now somebody sees that SSID and can start trying the
Mhm.
old standard passwords for that.
Well, and another thing is like those vendor stuff, like think of any equipment, right? Some of their default passwords are actually on the internet. Like
Yeah.
you can look it up. What is my default password for this device, this version? And you can try it.
Oh yeah.
You know, we try it all the time when we're doing recon and things like that for the pen testing team. So
I think Linksys used to be back in the early 2000s. Linksys was admin or admin and 1 2 3 4 5.
so many are still
It's
though.
just blanket that way
Ugh.
for everything. So if you ever run across a Linksys one that's probably 20 years old, try admin
Right.
or admin 1 2 3 4 5. You probably get on.
Hmm.
Yeah, but you're right, because a lot of times that online documentation that helps teach you how to manage it will say your default settings are this. And if someone and if you hit reset, that's what they will go back to. So you can kind of play it forward from there.
So Shane has a question in the chat. How can I find out who is on my home network?
How do you
That
So
would be
like whether who, meaning whether or not somebody else is connected to the network and utilizing your service?
Yeah, the specifics on how to do it, I think, will depend on what type of wireless router you have. But each one of them will have like a DHCP table, and you'll be able to see the IP addresses. Maybe there's just pulling a DNS name or something, and then you just correlate. Say, I have 2 computers, but I have 4 IP addresses on here that are active. If you can pull DNS, great. You'll probably be able to figure out what the type of computer is, what it is. If not, unplug it for a couple hours and see who complains.
Mm.
Like Spectrum right now, they've kind of leveled up a little bit. You can actually go log into your account and you'd have to navigate around. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it will show you what devices are actually there. It gives you more of a DNS or an actual name of the device, right? Trying to help you pinpoint what it is. But that's one way. If you go through an internet service provider, they should have something like that set up for you.
If you do have your own too, you can set DHCP leases. So you'll join it, and if there's no activity for 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on what you set. I've had people set them for a year. It will just keep it there for a while, and if you parse it off after like every 24 hours or something, it'll delete those entries.
Mm.
Yeah, it essentially timeout.
Yep.
Yeah. Brett,
All right. What about? Oh, sorry.
Brett, were you saying that the app that you have on yours will alert if somebody connects?
Yeah, anytime a device connects, I'll get an alert saying the device name, the IP, and the MAC address. So at any time something's connecting, it has to get an IP, which is what the DHCP server is doing, is handing out an IP to the device, and it has to have a MAC address. So luckily nowadays, our technology is smart enough to pull Brett's iPhone from the MAC address that it's tied to. So when I go into the device list, I'm not going to see a random string of 16 characters paired with an IP, but the actual device name. And pretty much everything that any of us would be using at this point is going to have a device list of connected devices.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I use Verizon, and if you go in their app, then there's a whole section for the home network portion that tells you who's, if you have IP addresses on your network, etc. All right, 6.3, I have changed the default password for all networking equipment to a strong password. And I'm sure the answer is yes, we have done that, but let's go ahead and click false. And again, just setting yourself up for some vulnerabilities if you don't use strong passwords. And take your network equipment and change those passwords so you aren't using the default. Anybody want to add to that one?
Dave, when you look up that generator, is that in Chrome? Oh, nobody else?
Victoria,
Come on.
you backed into one of those secret words of the day. Yeah.
Did.
Score.
And that was the whole reason you asked the question, Victoria.
Well, no, it was just being funny. Okay, we'll move on.
Oh, it worked.
Well, I wasn't sure if you really wanted to answer that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you could answer it. Do you use Chrome? Do you like Firefox? What is your flavor? What do you like?
I use Edge.
Oh, you use Edge? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, edgy. Okay.
Exactly.
Edgy.
Yeah.
Both Chromium.
Yeah. Like Meg, I enjoy being that agent of chaos.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
To represent that 3% market share.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, 6.4. I keep my Wi-Fi network router updated with the latest updates and security patches and check for new ones monthly. Are you guys noticing a pattern? In other words, we're asking the same questions in this section pretty much as we were in the last section. It's just now we're focused on the router. So what do you think, Brett?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Exactly.
It's too much work. It's so constant.
I check for patches on daily. That's like I don't know, something ADD thing for me to check for patches, but going into my networking equipment. not so
Hey,
much.
and actually one thing that's interesting is if you just go in there and look, sometimes it's very surprising how many devices actually have connectivity, because we're usually thinking computers, phones, but you got smart TVs, Nintendo Switches, any a place, any sort of video game console. All of those are going to be on there, and you're
Mhm.
probably going to end up finding a list about 3 times longer than what you were expecting.
Well, and someone just asked, how do you take off like a fridge? Because now a lot of equipment in the kitchen is smart, right? It's supposed to talk to your cell phone and give you updates, see if it's cooking, see
Don't
if
connect
one
it.
cleans. Yeah. How do
Just
you
don't connect it.
disconnect?
Yeah, I just bought a washer that wanted me to, there's a Wi-Fi button on there and everything, and I just didn't connect it.
Mhm.
If it is connected already, you should have an app for it. I know on a Samsung one, you can download the Samsung app and tell it to forget the wireless.
Yeah.
If it's connected, but I agree with Brett. Don't connect it to begin
But
with.
I mean, yeah, I suppose maybe it's already connected.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be dependent on the manufacturer, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so probably in order to answer their question, it's go to the web, do some research based on, if you have a Frigidaire, go to their website and try to find how to disconnect. Is that what you would recommend?
Yep.
Yeah.
There'll be a settings in there and then some type of networking and wireless and tell you all the different options to connect it. And you should be able to go forget the network.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to do it on the stove or whatever it is.
Fridge. Yeah.
Fridge.
Yeah, and the
Toaster.
other option is to change the password
Mhm.
and then not update it on that device.
The only problem with that, and I could see, I've never connected a fridge, so I have no idea what it's going to look like. If you do that, it's still going to remember the wireless network? Is it going to constantly be prompting you, say, new password, new password, new password, new password, until you just get so annoyed you just put the password in?
Yeah.
It's not going to forget the network. It's still going to keep trying to
Like
the
a
network.
fatigue thing.
Yeah,
So you got to forget
yeah,
the network
the
in
fridge
there.
will fatigue you into it. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, I got
And
beat down
like
by a Wi-Fi smart refrigerator.
For my washer, it wasn't, you couldn't do it from the washer. You had to download an app
Oh,
and do
okay.
it from the app. That's how you connected it. So I would imagine a lot of the Internet of Things is probably the same way. So you'd have like a Frigidaire app on your phone, and then you use that to connect.
I'm learning a lot.
Okay.
I don't even have a smart speaker. I don't want anything smart in my
No,
house
me
except for
neither.
I
me
don't even know what are the. I mean, like I've seen
and my
smart
wife.
toothbrushes and stuff. Seriously.
Yeah.
Why do you
But-
need a doc? I'm sorry out there, no judging if you do a smart toothbrush, but I really don't know what it's going to tell you about your mouth that you don't already know from the dentist. I just don't know.
I don't have one, but I did some research on it. There was one out there that can tell you how hard and how soft you're brushing, and then start to determine like the decay and stuff on your teeth and tell you when it's time to go to the dentist.
Okay, this is what I say to that. You can look at your toothbrush bristles, and if they're
Oh.
flat out looking like a storm came through, you're
Get a new
brushing
one?
too hard.
I'm with
Right.
you. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm just saying
All
what
this stuff
I
is
read.
so archaic, like just it's so simple, right? To go back to old school approaches, because that's what they're doing for you. I just don't like
And
IoT.
even
Full disclosure, I don't like IoT anything. So anyone out there, I apologize if you're a fan. No judging. So, but
No judging. And I saw Michael's note, but even
yeah.
for like turning lights on, I just remember the old clapper and just
well,
light turns on.
So good. And then there was always those jokes
be
that
beat.
someone was like clapping along, and then also the lights would go on and off, and you could never get to stop listening.
I wonder
Yeah.
if they've updated the clapper to where it will be IoT, so that
Yeah.
the clapper will join your network and
Yeah.
control the
Oh
entire
God,
house.
that would be horrible. It's
And
like a
to Alex's,
Siri. all
To
over
Alex's
again.
question, I do believe there are smart toilets out there.
Yes.
I haven't read what the benefits are yet.
You know how there's an app for everything? I
Yeah,
think that is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what a smart toilet tells you.
You can imagine.
Probably nothing I want to be
Until you
aware
Google
of.
it, I'm sure you can fill in the
Yeah.
answers.
Go to the
That could be a whole webinar.
Yeah, and even if
What do you
it's
think a
accurate, I
smart
would
toilet
prefer
tells
to
you?
just not know.
Especially if there's like a bidet built into it.
Yeah.
Go into it.
Yeah.
I get to experience my first bidet.
Get to.
Made me laugh. That's all I'm going
Oh,
to say.
you did.
Got
You
to.
did. Yeah.
All right, 6.5. I periodically check the settings on my Wi-Fi network router, and after any update, security patch is applied to make sure nothing has changed from an update or security patch.
So I think what this is saying, sorry to jump in, is
Oh,
No,
like
please.
sometimes it'll default back to the original password
mm,
or SSID. So make sure that you
yes.
go in there and see that the configurations that you set didn't get reset, because I have seen that on multiple types of devices.
Yeah, and when I was with Spectrum, they would tell you that you can change your password and you can change your name, but every time there's an update, it's going to default back and then you'll have to rechange it again, which isn't necessarily a bad strategy if you want to just, that could be kind of your indicator, oh, time to change my password.
Yeah.
Ports are a different problem too. I've flashed some things and done firmware where they have like a default set of ports, like port 21 for FTP and stuff. And you want to go block all that stuff and just leave what you need open. And then you flash it, you update it, and now all these ports are wide open. And 3389, which is RDP port, so you block that so people can't hit you on that port, and you flash, and voila, everything is back open.
Okay, so I've heard the term flash several times during this session. Can you guys explain what that means?
Just updating the firmware, updating it so the settings, like if you're on version 2.1 and version 2.2 comes out, you flash the BIOS on it. It's just updating it.
Okay. All right.
So
We do have
It's a
another
BIOS term, right?
Yeah.
Right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Specific to
Sorry.
BIOSes, which
You can take-
means don't let the power go out while it's happening, because you might brick the device forever.
That's what happened to me several times. Yeah,
Mm.
sorry. You can take the boy out of the technical side, but not the technical side out of the boy.
Victoria, there's a question in there from Durst, if I'm pronouncing it right. You want to read that one to everybody?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Have we talked about encryption or any cryptographic features available for Wi-Fi routers?
Got a word.
And you do yours so cool. You're like side, like
Behind one finger.
you're like a rocker, and I'm just like
Yeah.
being okay. We're done. It's fine. You're cool.
So the encryption is going to be that WPA2. And that's going to be starting at 128-bit encryption to 196. I think at WPA3 now is 196 and 256-bit encryption. But those are the encryption standards.
So it's already doing it for you.
256 anymore? Or does it? I can't remember.
What was that?
What?
Does WPA2 not go to 256?
Isn't
No,
that
it
AES?
does.
It does. Okay.
Oh.
It does 128 and 256, and then WPA3 does 192 and 256.
Okay, perfect.
Gotcha.
Something like
And-
that. Double check me.
To the answer to the question on a serious note,
Yeah.
we did talk about the encryption stuff even earlier on the Wi-Fi as well. Cool.
And we've addressed 6.5, so let's move on to 6.6.
Sure. And
when
6.6
managing-
is our last one. So
It is.
for tonight. Yeah, we're actually ahead of schedule tonight.
All right. When managing the settings on my Wi-Fi network router or other network equipment, I only use a secure connection like HTTPS, TLS, SSH.
Mm.
And Ryan.
I don't get all the easy ones. So, yeah, not to get too technical on here, but port 443 is the HTTP, and that's kind of secure. Port 80 is going to be the HTTP. Why that is important is if you have a secure one, means you have a good certificate, means you are going to site that they're advertising. You know, if you go to Yahoo and it's not a secure connection, it's HTTP, is it really Yahoo? I could be a bad guy, be doing a man in the middle attack and claim that I'm Yahoo and you come to my site. There's no security there. It's not encrypting the channel or the communication back and forth. Oh yeah, encryption.
Yeah.
Now,
I missed it.
I can honestly say that is a false for me, because I don't only use secure connections. I still go to sites that are using HTTP. Same with TLS. I don't check every single site to make sure they're not at 1.0, 1.1, or 1.2 TLS. It's good,
I think
but
some router admin portals force HTTP.
do they? It'll like hit the HTTP and then jump. I've
No,
seen.
no, it'll say that you can't connect. You have to like
Oh.
physically go manually delete the S.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Seriously?
happened
would
to
you
me
do
somewhat
that?
recently.
Mine does
On some
not
test
do
equipment.
Well, and the thing with TLS, you always, like you said, you have to make sure because that has gone out of date for a while now, right? So there are a lot of groups behind even on their current version of TLS. So
So it's at 1.3 now,
yeah,
and 1.2. I mean, people are still running
maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of.
previous to-
They're trying to get
Yeah.
rid of 1.2, if I remember right.
Correct. So
Yeah, and we'll see that more with work where maybe even the client stopped using 1.1 or 1.2, but didn't disable it on the server. So
I think some
still
clients
available.
do that too, where they block it. So they'll manually go into their firewall on the enterprise level and block that TLS 1.0 and 1.1. And it lasts for a couple hours, and then their internal staff are freaking out because they're still using a lot of sites that are using that. Other sites won't function.
yeah.
So we do have a question from someone who's anonymous, which I totally support because I do it all the time. It says, should you have 3 SSIDs? So we're kind of going back a little bit to a previous discussion, but I figure since we reached the end of our 6.6, we can kind of backtrack a little bit. But should you have 3 SSIDs, one for your personal, one for IoTs? If you're going to do IoTs, yes. And another for guests. Does it make it difficult to change the passwords if you have one SSID and have to update the password on all your devices? What do you guys think of that? I know my answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't stick with a specific number of 3. Stick whatever makes sense for you.
Yeah.
There are times I had 8 of them because I had a different SSID for every person in the house and every device and everything. I can manage it though, and it made sense to me because I didn't want to go change a password and go change a lot of devices.
I personally have 4. I have one for, my standard network, one for my IoT stuff, well, what I consider IoT stuff, the guest network, and then I have Wi-Fi 6, which has that WPA3, so added security, not everything connect to that one. But if you're going to have IoT devices, for sure, a guest, IoT, and a standard, I would say minimum 3.
Mm-hmm.
I wish mine offered 3. It just offers 2. So I have the one
Yeah, I suppose
for
whatever's available, I
me,
suppose.
Yeah.
and then I have the one for not me.
And then when it comes to changing passwords, do you guys have like just a schedule set up and you're like, okay, today's the day I'm going to change? Well, that's if you change your passwords on a regular
Big if,
basis.
Victoria.
I know.
I don't tell them.
You tell your family that you changed their passwords.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
So I don't do
What's
that
the
because
fun
I
in
have
that?
an access control list with my TP-Link and you cannot connect to my network unless I submit your MAC address first. So I have to go into your phone settings, get your MAC address, and until I put that in my system, your phone just can't connect to my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So the password is, a little bit less of a worry to rotate for me, but
There's a perfect definition of a compensating control.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw Olivia's note there that her Wi-Fi router is like you were describing, Brett.
the HTTP, yes.
Requiring HTTP.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bad habit, but I don't think I've changed my SSID passwords for probably about 3.5 years. But they're 32 characters, so I feel safe with that.
I feel like we're in confessions of a security consultant. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
as
like,
I do.
I'm in the same area as Meg, where it qualifies as true because the one that I have is less than a year old.
mm,
So for my update assessment,
go. We'll
that
have
may
to see
be
where you
different.
are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that the last one?
That was the
was
last
it.
one. We're a little bit ahead of schedule. If anybody has any questions they want to drop in the chat, or we can give everybody a few minutes back. But this has been fantastic. And as again, thank you so much to everyone that attended, and each of you that are helping to co-host. One thing I should say is I'll probably get the CPE emails out either tonight or tomorrow night, the latest. So if you don't see it, check your spam filter. We mail them out through MailChimp, and sometimes, especially with like Gmail, we'll see them land there sometimes. So just double check there. And if you don't see it, if you got any questions, I'll drop ping us here. We'll follow up to help you out. But other than that, I think we're good. Thank you, everyone. And we'll do it again next month.
Yay.
Yay.
Hope everyone enjoyed the eclipse today.
Hope you didn't look at it.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you, everybody, as well. All right, cool. I'll let everybody go. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.